Hi guys, thanks for subscribing. And if you happen to be finding me by scrolling around or somebody else suggested it, I hope that you'll subscribe if you like what you've seen here. I'm going to pick up on what I was talking about yesterday with Elon Musk and Trump's kind of fake kabuki um, little dance they're doing. There is more behind it. This was in fact launched by Musk, as I said, and it just coincidentally, wink, wink, happened after President Zelensky of Ukraine punked Putin and Trump with this incredible attack on the Russian planes, not only decimating Putin's ability to launch further strikes on Ukraine for the war that he started, but it embarrassed him. And Trump is his guy. The whole reason Trump is president is because Putin installed him. And this on the third try needed Musk's help because on the second try, as I said, we had the pandemic and there were mail-in ballots and it was harder to cheat. So, they needed a little extra push. And that's where Elon Musk came in. In 2016, Putin was able to handle most of it himself. So we have this war, this split between Trump and Musk happening after Trump failed to do his job for Putin with Ukraine. All right. Trump has now outlived his usefulness. And I think, as I said, that this is a way to get rid of Trump and put Vance in because he was installed. JD Vance was never anybody's first pick, but Peter Thiel, Musk, they need him. And Putin needs him. So that's what is happening. So here is interesting. This is from the Kyiv Independent. Moscow ready to grant Musk asylum if necessary amid rift with Trump, Russian official says. So we know that, okay, we're talking about Doge here. They go on and on. I think Musk is playing a completely different game, is what somebody else notes. Yeah, that's what I've been telling you. Russia is prepared to offer political assignment to tech billionaire Elon Musk following his public feud with U.S. President Donald Trump. Dmitry Novikov, deputy chair of the State Duma Committee on International Affairs, said June 6th. So, and it goes on and on. The point being that Musk is, of course, in bed with Putin, which we have known. He has openly said, yes, I talk to Vladimir Putin regularly. This was before, and he had no reason to do so. This was before, had anything before Trump. Before Trump had him do Doge or anything like that. And they talked about politics, national security. This is obviously illegal. Nothing happened to him, of course. So Musk is a Putin guy. Musk, where he before was helping Ukraine, was pro-Ukraine, he since has pulled back on everything and increasingly then starts echoing the Putin-Russia narrative on Ukraine. So make no mistake about it. The people in charge, which we've been warned about, but it's almost too scary to contemplate, are Putin, Musk, and Peter Thiel. They run our country. Trump is installed. Well, Trump is kind of out of it. Trump became president. He was like, it kept him out of prison. He gets to take bribes and play golf. But something happened where his own intel didn't know that Zelensky was getting ready to launch this attack. Or if U.S. intel knew, if we have some heroes, deep inside the IC, some kind of a patriotic deep state, they knew to keep it from Trump because Trump is a Putin guy. So I think that it's, I think that's what's happening. I think it's clear that's what's happening, frankly. So now Russia is saying that, Musk can come here and get political asylum. Not that he needs it. Musk can go anywhere he wants. But where I think it matters, the reason I think it matters is they're kind of open about it. And as long as you can admit to yourselves that this is what's happening, then we can see how this follows along. I don't know who gets the Republicans in Congress in this split. So we have Katie Miller, who's married to Stephen Miller, who was working for Doge before the Zelensky attack on Russia planes. Katie Miller was leaving Doge, leaving the Trump administration, and to go personally work for Musk. Now, as I've said, I think in some of my shorts, or maybe I've said it on these longer versions, I think this was basically so that she could be the go-between, so that Musk was no longer a FOIA. There was no FOIA request for any communications. They could do all of this under radar, and he could still be very much involved, which is what he wanted to do. He just didn't want the pain in the neck stuff. Well, now that this other part of the long-term plan has been launched because Trump did not do his part, and this attack happened without his knowledge, and he was not able to alert Putin to it. Again, the whole reason Putin has him as the U.S. president. A change is in play, and that's why Musk launched this fight, this cat fight with Trump. It is to push Trump out. They're going to get him out. They'll use the Epstein stuff. Musk is like all but admitting that he cheated for Trump in the election, which we knew. We know. As we've increasingly now, people are talking about the swing states that Trump won all of them, which is not realistic. There was a district in New York that the Democratic senator won, but Kamala Harris got 0. I mean, none of this makes sense. So yeah. I mean, Elon Musk's 4-year-old, now 5-year-old, knew that, said the bad part out loud on Tucker Carlson's show in an interview. So I think we have to accept that this is happening. And the reason I hope I don't sound defensive about that, but people come back, unless you have proof. No, we know. We know they cheated. We know they cheated. We know they cheated in 2016. We know they cheated in 2020 and failed. And we know they cheated in 2024. And everything is about Ukraine. That is the only reason Putin needed Trump in office. And Musk helped as long as Musk got what he wanted. Again, the agencies he decimated, no longer investigate his companies. He gets these big contracts, blah, blah, blah. All right. So now we've got, it's almost like it's kind of out in the open. So now the big contest is between who owns the GOP Congress. Does Trump have the ability to go out there and garner MAGA support for himself and the GOP Congress? I don't think he does. And I think that once Elon Musk, if he starts revealing the certainty and the evidence of Trump's involvement and escapades and recreational activities on Epstein Island, that will turn off enough MAGA. Not a lot of them, but enough. Remember, we've talked about this. You only need a few. You only need to chip around the edges. And I think that's what's happening. But the fact that Elon Musk will get asylum in Russia pretty much says it all. So I don't have any predictions on this, but I think it's really important that we follow the bouncing ball. And again, when you work to connect the dots, it's harder to say, well, that's just a tinfoil hat conspiracy. If you haven't been following it and somebody just puts this in front of you, you might be saying that, but that's not the case here at all. So anyway, I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know who gets the Republicans in Congress. I don't have a prediction on that. I don't know where the money is going to go, but Trump seems to pretty much be checked out on everything. I have to take a breath before saying this. I almost think that Trump would be relieved to be able to be done with the presidency as long as he was safe from prison. So JD Vance becomes president and gives Trump some kind of a blanket pardon on everything. And Trump goes off with his, for the first time as a true billionaire, has more money now than he ever has because of the bribes. And he goes off to play golf and live the rest of his life. I am not convinced that Trump would fight to hold on to the presidency for the sake of the power. I don't think he cares. He wants the money and he wants to stay out of prison because remember, that is the only reason he ran for president again. Merrick Garland dragged his feet to the point we were getting to that time where Trump could start talking about running again, and we knew the nomination would be his. It'd be a fait accompli. He would already be the presumptive nominee just by talking like he might run again. The minute you officially announce, and you're subjected to all kinds of, FEC, monetary regulations and everything, but he could talk about it, so everybody knew, and nobody knew, and nobody would challenge him. Nobody of note would challenge him. So again, he did that solely to stay out of prison, and it worked for him. The deals he cut were with Putin and then with Musk. So, to my way of thinking, as long as he's protected, if he gives him too much trouble, he might catch window cancer or stair cancer. And he doesn't want that to happen. Maybe this is why we haven't seen him for a few days. He's cutting the deals. Trump has full immunity for his crimes. If JD Vance will give him a pardon just to make sure everything is clear, clean slate, and Trump gets to go off this merry way and play golf and live the rest of his life as an oligarch and a billionaire, play whatever and get revenge on people, whatever he wants to do. And maybe he'll stay in politics and still want to have, some influence. But he clearly doesn't enjoy being president, isn't really doing the job. And I think he'd be more than happy to leave.